Muy buenas, gente. Estamos en otro jueguito que no lo estáis viendo, pero ahora lo vais a ver. Se llama Iridescence, ¿de acuerdo? Es un juego de texto, una visual novel. Creo que nunca se traído ninguna al canal, que yo recuerde. Bueno, sí, he traído alguna demo, pero... Bueno, ya veremos si os gusta. Yo lo vi, me llamó la atención y también porque, como os he dicho, estoy intentando aprender más vocabulario en inglés y creo que este tipo de juegos pues me van a venir bien. Así que vamos allá. Hey there, great to meet you. My name is... Actually, you know what? I want to make sure you get it right, so let me spell it out. Ah, mira. Yo soy Santi. That's right, Santi here. Like most people will consider me... What the fuck? Non-binary legend, ¿qué cojones? Now let me tell you about something special. Sure, I had cruises before until recently. I even tell you what, I was in love with some of them, but I'm wizard now. What the fuck? Meeting Kira changed everything, to the point where I don't recognize who I was before her. It's like I'm living in a different world entirely. Most of it seems brighter, some are duller. No sé qué es duller, mira, ya tenemos una palabra para buscar. But everything is much more saturated. Looking back over our time together on this island, it's hard to distinguish just how much it was genuine. I don't doubt that I was concerned, supongo que pondrá, coerced, coerced, ¿eso es una palabra? Está como rara. Coerced, as it means to an end, but the fact that my feelings still linger. Joder, cuántas palabras, chaval. Linger. Voy a escribir toda una libreta de eso. So forcefully. Despite everything, must mean something, surely. Sorry, this is difficult for me. Let me explain. I felt an instant connection the very second we locked eyes. Cheesy. But it really did feel like love at first sight. Supongo ser la primera mirada, sight o algo así. And it went beyond a physical attraction. We often ended up passionately debating until the sun went down. Even when our views were opposed, I felt only warmth for her. Wow. A ver, espera un momento. Warmth. It didn't matter what we did, whether we end up laughing until we cry, or just sat quietly and watched the world go by. Every moment we had felt precious. We were the only people in the world when we were together, and it was addictive. I'm not proud to admit it, but I spent the majority of time we weren't together just longing to see her. Even when I think deep down I knew it was too good to be true. Knowing the intensity of my feelings for Kira, you may not be surprised to hear that I passed out the first time we kissed. Sure, in Italy my heart raced to the point where I was worried I could be having a heart attack, but that wasn't why I lost consciousness. O sea, dice que la primera vez que se besaron, que se desmayó. What the fuck? Esto random, ¿no? In fact, it was the opposite. I felt my heart rate rapidly slow as she kissed me. I got slower and slower until eventually my consciousness began to ebb away. Ebb. The piercing green of her eyes slowly shifted. Madre mía, cuántas palabras nuevas. From her iris as my life force was drained from me and stolen by her. I want to move, to pull away, but I couldn't. I was trapped. At this point, I suspect you're wondering how I'm here, telling you all this. Well, despite Kira having previously ripped the souls from countless victims, this time was different. She hesitated just a moment before the last of my life left me and pulled away. Once my heart rate was established and I awoke, Kira explained everything. Kira was an embodiment of the sea, the daughter of deities. She had made a pact which allowed her to take human form, but to maintain it, she owned a payment. Once human soul, ever lunar cycle. What the fuck? What the fuck? ¿Qué me estás contando? Está diciendo, para quien no lo esté entendiendo, que la pava esta, la Kira, es como una deidad del agua y que hizo un pacto para tener una forma humana y que cada ciclo lunar necesita un alma. Y creo que nos ha matado a nosotros. Nos ha matado a nosotros. Después de besarnos. No sé, creo que es lo que he entendido, pero lo que ponía, a menos es lo que yo he entendido, pero vamos a seguir. I know, it's a lot. Wrap your head around. Wrap, eso ya lo he apuntado, wrap. No sé. Lo voy a volver a apuntar. No me suena. Don't worry, I don't expect you to believe me. There are times when I do it myself. But both the warmth and darkness of her eyes are seared into my mind. Uy, ay, me he saltado algo. But both we were... Ah, no, mira, se ha ido para atrás simplemente. Please, don't misunderstand me. I may be a victim, but was she? O sea, sí. Que me pava, creo que me ha matado, pero dice, no me malinterpretes, que puedo ser yo, podría ser yo la víctima, pero en verdad es ella. What the fuck, hermano. To understand this thought, firstly you need to truly understand that Kira was never human, nor would she want to be. I say truly because you need to detach from everything you know, all that you have experienced since first opening your eyes, as she showed the world through an entirely different lens, ones we could never fully understand. Kira had lived countless years in depth of the ocean, and world we still know very little about, let alone how our actions impacted. As far as I'm concerned, Kira has good reason to despise our world, and she did, well at least, until she met me. I know, I couldn't say it, but it's fairness, they're her words, not mine. Hostia puta, tío, estoy flipando ahora mismo. No, esto parece el típico juego de citas, ¿no? De amor, que si lo fuese pues tampoco pasa nada, ¿no? Yo estoy abierto a probar juegos diferentes, ¿no? En plan, quiero decir, si esto me hace aprender inglés, pues de puta madre, ¿no? En plan... Pero quiero decir, es como súper raro, ¿no? En plan, la historia en sí, ya aparte de eso. Kira said that when she made the deal to walk on land, she had never once contemplated not being able to fulfill her end of a contract, that she would ever have an issue killing a human. But because of me, Kira was unable to pay the debt of her park, and so, silhouetted by the light of the full moon, her body was mercilessly ripped from her. And with that, my heart too shattered into 1,000 pieces. After that day, things were a blur, as if I was constantly squinting, but something happened that forced me to open my eyes wide. No sé qué es squinting. Uy. No sé si estáis entendiendo algo. Yo lo entiendo todo, pero no sé si vosotros estáis entendiendo algo. Little did I know that time I spent with Kira on this mysterious island had been in fact just a prelude. Having fought through more than my fair share of hardships from a young age, I already had a try and test coping mechanisms firmly in place. There's no grand secret behind it, it's quite simple really. Numbness. I merely avoid processing difficult situations altogether, not allowing any emotion to surface. I figure just unbutton and work through it all later in life, once things has established. I think with Kira was heightening my emotions to a level I hadn't thought possible, which made me strategy harder to execute this time. Losing Kira was like the first time a baby experiences pain. It had a profound freshness. ¿Qué cojones me estás contando, bro? What the fuck? I was angry at myself for letting my ward slip. I knew better. I didn't break routine. I went to school the very next day, confident that no one would notice anything out of the ordinary with me, that I wasn't prepared for. Is that even as the days pass, not one person asks about Kira. Her desk just sat empty, seemingly content with its fate. The main way I dealt with the pain was through distraction, and luckily Kira had left a lot to distract me with. Reality had most definitely been turned on its head. As summer approached, I found myself taking walks along the coast after school, while in the cool sea breeze to travel through my ears and clear my mind. I should have known that I wouldn't be the wind by the sea that would hear my silent pleading. Esperar. It's ironic, really. This next chapter starts much in the same way as the first. I walk transfixed by lapping waves. Son lapping. Wondering how much they truly conceal as I use the wetness under my feet to navigate the tide line. No sé qué es tide line en verdad. Estaba mirando, me quedo mirándolo. Yo de verdad que es duro, ¿no? Estar leyendo esto, pero porque podría leerlo tranquilamente en silencio o traduciroslo, pero bueno, estoy utilizando esto para aprender, así que if I'm being totally honest, what I was really wondering was if Kira was down there somewhere, at least in some capacity. It had been her work, her life for countless years. He had poured her soul into guiding its fate and helped it overcome adversity time and time again. Surely it could return the favor. I gripped her bracelet which I wore on my wrist. No sé ni qué es gripper. Intuyo que es como agarrar o algo así. I wore, no me acuerdo qué era, lo he visto alguna vez, pero no me acuerdo. Y wrist, no tengo tampoco ni idea de lo que es. The sharp spells dug into me. They relieved just a little of the pain. Unfortunately, this was one of many unhealthy coping mechanisms I would unconsciously integrate into my daily life. The pain was quickly replaced with anger, and it so often was more at myself than her. I ripped off the bracelet, the chain snapping as I did so. I clenched tightly in my fist. Supongo que clench será como apretar. Por el contexto es lo que parece que es. Seeking the pain to return. To force away the moisture I could feel welling in my eyes. With a primal cry, I hurled. Eso no sé qué es ya, directamente. It far into the sea, the shells escaping the chain one by one as it flew towards the setting sun. I was exhausted and the water in my eyes blurred my vision, but it looked like fleeting clouds of vapor burst from the point where each shell hit the water. I quickly rubbed my eyes, but by the time my vision sharpened, any signs of the bracelet have ever existed were gone. As I unclenched my fist, I felt my knees weaken. I fought the urge to fall to warm sand and instead gulped down how I was feeling, closing my eyes and counting backwards from 5 as I did so. No sé qué es gulper. Se ha quitado la música, se ha quitado el fondo. When I reopened them, I saw a girl standing contemplatively on the rolling tide, the water rippling around her feet. I got began as I rapidly tried to blink away the speck, but with no luck. Despite her wavering opacity, her piercing, pale green eyes glowed intensely in the low light. For a second, it was as if Kira had returned, until I registered that they also held a childlike innocence. It wasn't her eyes alone that struck a chord with me. She was also wearing our school uniform. But how could that be possible? The school was small. I would have noticed her. She was striking. Her pale complexion and fiery red hair almost made it seem she was command of the setting sun. It was more than just her appearance, thought. She exuded a powerful aura, one I now recognize as beyond human. I had no time to dissect this thought as her tone held urgency. Santi? I didn't need to respond, my reaction was answer enough. Our time is brief, so you will have to excuse the lack of pleasantries. My name is Melody. No me lo puedo creer. And like Kira, I'm also of the sea. Puedo creer que se llame Melody, no me lo puedo creer. Melody es el nombre que le quería poner yo a mi hija. ¿Será mi hija? Sería todo raro esto, Inconstantly my eyes widened at the mention of her name. You, Santi, are an anomaly, but I have a feeling for you already know this. Her eyes narrowed. The choices you and Kira made have had a catastrophic effect. As it often did in moments like this, my sense of self dispersed. It was as if I was being told a fairy tale. As she spoke my name, it seemed unrecognizable. Still, I made sure I absorbed every word she said. I come on behalf of my sisters to tell you that it is imperative that you set things right before it's too late. Santi, you have access to world we don't, and so I implore you, hear our plea. Melody reached into her pocket and held something in the palm of her hand. She was too far away for me to make it out. Here, Melody said, blowing onto her palm, and felt an icy breeze hit me as the spectral object was carried toward me, swaying ever so slightly. Swaying. What the fuck es eso? I raised my arm and barely felt it hit my open hand, but instinctively closed my fingers around it the same. I opened my fist to find a shimmering, iridescent feather, which like Melody wavered in opacity as if between two worlds. Shimmering. Study it carefully, as you are the only one who can do this. Look up at her blankly. The sea is without a guardian. There is another, but she's lost. This feather is hers. Melody gave me a doubtful smile, and she and the feather fade away. I used to remain precious few seconds to etch its image into my mind. O sea que la pava desapareció y tenemos que buscarla, ¿no? Santi. Her voice was faint and she was gone before she could even really start her sentence. As the ripples where Melody had stood disappeared, I reconnected to my body. I felt that weight in my stomach and noticed my fingers were quivering. I was shaking all over. Vale, entonces la papa nos mató, ¿no? Porque estamos vivos. Nos besamos, yo me desmayé y de repente pasa algo raro. Melody had not only forced the pain I have been holding to the surface, but she has added extra weight on top of it. Everything. Literally everything now rested on my shoulders, and I wasn't strong enough. How could I be? I violently threw up with one hated the shaking. I was all too mad, I never felt so pathetic, so frail. The journey home was grueling. Hay tantas palabras que desconozco, que flipo. As soon as I hobbled through the door, of pills of the cabinet, hand still shaking, I reached it. I took one. ¿Esto qué es? Guardar. Story. Hostia, estos son todas las conversaciones hasta ahora. Voy a guardar. Tengo aquí 19 minutos. Vamos a dejarlo aquí, ¿vale? Vamos a dejarlo en la habitación esta. Por ahora el juego está guay. La verdad, el Iridescence, me llevo 20 minutos hablando todo el rato, leyendo, apuntando palabras. Madre mía, el amor hermoso. Dios mío. Supongo que las visual novel es lo que tienen, ¿no? Pero claro, yo no estoy acostumbrado ni a jugar visual novel ni a hablar todo el rato. Tanto rato, quiero decir. Así que nada, si os ha gustado este Iridescence, por ahora lo que hemos visto, porque seguiremos más adelante, no sé cuándo, pero seguiremos, pues dadle un like o lo que queráis. Así que nos vemos en el próximo vídeo. Hermosos y hermosas, este es el juego. y nos vemos en la próxima. Adiós.